Minecraft is too big. We are given these massive infinite worlds, and yet they feel surprisingly small. Sure, the world is never ending, but it's just the repeated generation of the same few biomes and structures. Because of the vast size of Minecraft worlds, nothing's actually unique, because anything you find, you can find again. You just have to look hard enough. There's this thing in astronomy called the cosmological principle that says if you view the universe at a large enough scale, it becomes uniform. That's how Minecraft worlds are on Infinite Generation. If you get enough maps and put them together, it's really hard to tell them apart. If you've seen one sunken ship, you've seen them all. It can be cool to find a rare biome or structure, but even then, it's tempered by the fact that you can find them in any world. A rare biome, such as a mushroom island close to spawn, can be neat. But even if there isn't one there, I know if I just walk long enough, I'll find one. I think Minecraft was better when it was small, when discoveries mattered and every world was a new surprise. Some of you may be confused, saying that Minecraft has always had infinite worlds. That is the case for Java Edition, but I don't think Java Edition was the best Minecraft ever was. The best version of Minecraft easily was Legacy Console Edition, or at least that's the name they go by now. Back in the day, you knew them as things like Minecraft Xbox 360 Edition, or PS4 Edition, or even Apple TV Edition. Every port to a vaguely console-shaped piece of hardware was considered a Legacy Console Edition. Besides the 3DS one, because that was just Pocket Edition, which later became Bedrock Edition. Due to the limitations of the hardware, the Legacy Console Editions had to have some features pared back in order to make it work. Some of these included a limit of how many players can be in a world, a cap to the amount of mobs that can be in a world, and, most obviously, a limited world size. This, to some, might seem like a downside to the game. I imagine going from Java's infinite world size to the tiny 864 by 864 of Xbox 360 or a PS3 would be quite the downgrade, but I'm here to argue that small limited worlds have benefits of all their own, and while they might not be required anymore due to hardware issues, I still think having the option to cap world size during generation would be a great feature for Minecraft Java and Bedrock. The first advantage of smaller worlds is that they are conducive to shorter games. It can be fun to go into an infinite world and have a grand adventure looking for the perfect base spot and building it up over the course of hours or days. But sometimes, I don't want to make a forever world, or even a long-term world. Can't always be bothered to play a long game. Sometimes I just want to play a short little Minecraft world. Get in, explore all of it, kill the dragon, and then get out in a reasonable amount of time. With limited world sizes, there is a finite amount of places I can explore, meaning I can see all the sites, explore all the caves, loot all the structures, kill all the dragons, and tame all the dogs. It allows you to play a truncated version of Minecraft where everything is actually obtainable. For people like me that like to have a checklist of things to do in games, small worlds give me the perfect amount of limited things to check out. And then, once I've done everything I can do, I can just leave it. In addition, it's great for people with limited time. These smaller worlds of the console editions were designed so all the important and progress-specific structures would still spawn in despite not having a lot of room. You don't have to worry about those moments in Infinite Worlds where you spend way too long, and way too many eyes, trying to get to a stronghold that feels way farther away from spawn than it should be. Or going to the Nether and not being able to find a fortress for the life of you despite exploring for who knows how long. I think everyone has had that experience when they go into the Nether and they just can't find a fortress for the life of them. You explore for what feels like hours, and for whatever reason, you just can't find one. Maybe you picked the wrong direction to walk, or maybe you just got unlucky and the fortress is 10,000 blocks away. Whatever the reason, you just can't find it. In limited maps, the fortress is guaranteed to be close. Not so close that it's necessarily super easy to find, but just close enough that you won't waste your own time. It's the perfect little encapsulation of the Minecraft experience without any of the baggage of random generation. If you want a quick in and out 15-minute adventure, the small maps are ideal for you. Another advantage of small maps is that they make structures and biomes matter again. Remember how I said earlier that if you've seen one shipwreck, you've seen them all? That's true, but shipwrecks immediately become more interesting if you are not guaranteed to find one. I remember back in the day playing on Minecraft Xbox 360 Edition with my friends. Certain structures or biomes being in someone's world was an event. For a while there, jungles were really rare, and not every jungle had a temple, meaning jungle temples were one of the rarest structures in Minecraft, at least on console. I remember the first time one of my friends found a jungle temple on one of their maps. They immediately pulled me into a party, and when they said they found a jungle temple, it was enough for me to stop playing Halo Reach or Black Ops, whichever one I was playing at the time. I remember that. It's a distinct memory because it was a big deal for everyone in my middle school friend group. We all joined the world and ransacked the temple together. It was exciting because in limited sized worlds, getting a jungle alone was an event, but getting a jungle with a temple was worthy enough to get everyone away from whatever they were doing to go explore it. In modern Minecraft, you'll find a jungle eventually if you just keep exploring. And if you really want to find a jungle temple, you could just pay a villager to give you a map to one. But in a small limited world, where a jungle temple or anything else isn't guaranteed to spawn, finding one becomes an event. Similarly, I remember how certain friends had worlds with mushroom islands, or even the opposite, where a world wouldn't have a common biome such as a desert or a tundra. And that made those worlds unique and a big deal to us. Less meaningful structures such as temples, witch huts, or igloos become much more interesting when they might be one of the few structures on your world, or when you haven't seen one in a long time. Minecraft has so many structures and biomes now that weirdly enough, when you shrink down the maps, it makes it feel like there's more variety. You might get a world that's mostly badlands with a bit of snow in the corner and a ruined portal. Not a great place to set up shop, but it's a unique world, and that's something you can't get in Infinite Worlds. Sure, you could find similar areas, and you might even be able to find an exact recreation of the spot I'm talking about, but they're just smaller chunks of a greater whole. When you average out the map, it's just nothing. This Badlands Tundra Ruined Portal combo might seem unique, but if you explore long enough, you'll just find another one in the same world. With limited biomes and structures, suddenly you are forced to work with what the game gives you, and not whatever you want. Limitations breed innovation, and some of my best building has happened because I was forced to think outside of the box. When all the world gives you is a badland, a tundra, and a ruined portal, you're gonna build in a way that's different from normal, because you are limited in what you can use. Another advantage of smaller worlds is that they make loot much more valuable through scarcity. Random loot found in the chest will be much more valuable if the things found in the chest are actually rare in the world. I recently did a playthrough on Minecraft Xbox One Edition. I set the world size to classic because I was feeling nostalgic about the Xbox 360 edition, but I couldn't play it at the time. I spent hours and hours exploring and building on that world. Strangely enough though, this world did not have a desert, so I had no cacti. Which, to be honest, wasn't that big of a deal. All I ever do with cacti is make an auto cactus farm, and then I never use it because I've never used green dye in the 15 plus years I've played Minecraft. Anyways, one day while going through the tundra, I found an igloo I had never noticed before. It was half buried under the snow, and a tree was covering its entrance, so I'm kinda lucky I even noticed it in the first place. Having nothing better to do, I decided to go see if it had a basement, and if it did, I was gonna grab the golden apple out of its chest, because normally, that's the only valuable thing you could find in an igloo. So that's what I did. I went into the basement and I got an apple. But then I noticed something. On a table in the room was a potted plant with a cactus in it. Most of the time, this would not be something I even noticed. But in a world without a desert, this cactus stood out like a beacon. Suddenly I got so excited, because this was the only cactus on the entire map, and using it I could build a cactus farm, like I like to do. Suddenly, one of the most boring and unrewarding structures in Minecraft became very important and exciting to me. Needless to say, I've never been more hyped to find an igloo, let alone a potted plant in Minecraft. Using this cactus, I was able to make an auto cactus farm and then never use any of the dye. And that, I think, is the reason why I like small worlds. I can't think of a single other context that finding a potted plant in an igloo is an exciting experience for someone. But in the case of that world, finding the igloo was a big moment, and that memory is going to stick with me for a long time. I hope I've convinced you that they should re-add world sizes to Minecraft. I really don't see a downside to doing it, since offering people choices tends to be a good thing. I doubt they ever will add world sizes again, considering with the current drops model, they'd probably have to dedicate an entire drop just to that, and a lot of people would be very unhappy if an entire drop was dedicated to making worlds smaller again. Maybe if they repackaged it as adding a legacy console mode to the game, people would be more willing to go along with it, but I still can't see people liking it, since they complain about every drop. Otherwise, the best we can do is play the old games. I've been looking for solutions to make worlds like how they used to be, but nothing really works. Using commands or some mods, you can limit the world border, but that's not the same as how limited generation worked. I could trap myself in a 1000 by 1000 block box, but if the game is not designed to generate in that specific size, then problems can arise, like the Nether Fortress or the Strongholds spawning out of bounds. It's just my personal opinion too, but the old water borders look way better than the current translucent wall borders we have on worlds. It gave the vibe that you were on an isolated island and you had to survive there. As of now, there really isn't a way to recreate the old console feel without playing those games, and they aren't even sold anymore, so to play them you either need to have already owned it, find a pre-owned disc, or use an emulator. Maybe I've missed a mod, or perhaps this video will inspire someone who's smarter and undoubtedly more handsome than me to make a mod that recreates the world sizes of Legacy Console. Until then, I will continue to play the Xbox One version of Minecraft, and occasionally wave my hand angrily at the sky like the boomer I am. Cursing Mojang for replacing Legacy Console Edition with Bedrock, which in some ways is better, but in other ways is infinitely worse. Such the controller UI. I will never forgive them for butchering the controller UI. Mojang, please re-add the nether reactor.